Hi, welcome back to the Classroom Management Mini-Course, 3 Days to Regain Control. I'm Linda Cardamus with Teach for the Heart, and if you missed the first 2 videos, make sure you go back and check those out. In day 1, we developed a plan to eliminate distractions and create our classroom shakeup. Day 2, we talked about how to execute or conduct that classroom shakeup so that you see real changes. We talked about how you need to have the right demeanor, the right way to teach procedures, how important it is to deal with problems while they're small, and how we need to stay consistent. Today, day 3, we're going to talk about how to succeed long-term and actually create that conducive learning environment where you can teach and your students can learn. I have a big key to success for you, and then we're going to talk about how to put it all together. So here is the big key to success. In order to have a good classroom with a good learning environment, you have to develop strong relationships with your students. If you don't have a good relationship with your student, things at some point are going to fall apart. It's just not going to work. So we're going to talk about a few ways that you can intentionally build relationships. Keep in mind, though, that this building relationship key goes alongside all the things that we talked about. You don't wait to hold students accountable until you have a relationship, or things will fall apart and you won't be able to build a relationship. So you're going to do all the things we talked about, but simultaneously, you're going to work to build relationships with all your students, and maybe in particular, the most challenging ones. So here we go, a few tips to help you build a relationship. Number 1 is to invest in their emotional bank account. Stephen Covey, in his book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, talks about the concept of an emotional bank account. And the idea is that each of us has this imaginary bank account into which people can make deposits and withdrawals. So every time that we show a student that we care about them, or we empathize with them, or we show interest in things that they're interested in, those are all deposits into their emotional bank account. But then every time that we have to insist they follow expectations or give consequences or deal with discipline or anything like that, those are withdrawals out of the bank account. Now, here's the truth. When we go to make that withdrawal, if there is something in there, if we have invested that care and empathy and interest and there's some deposits in there, then we make a withdrawal and it's okay. There's a relationship to draw upon. But if we go to make that withdrawal and there's nothing there or just a little bit, insufficient funds, the check will bounce, and that's often when we have those big blow-up moments. So we want to be intentional about developing relationships, about putting deposits in all of our students' bank accounts, but in particularly those challenging students. If you know you're going to need to make withdrawals, you need to invest more in those students. And once again, this can be simple. So a few ways that you can do this, a few different strategies. One is called the 2x10 strategy. And it's almost silly to call it a strategy because it's so simple, but this is an easy way to focus on it with intentionality. So the 2x10 simply means that you choose to talk to a student for 2 minutes a day for 10 days. About anything. So you simply make an intention to just go to them, talk to them 2 minutes a day for 10 days. And so many people have reported back, this made a huge difference in the relationship. Now, if you say, Linda, even 2 minutes, that's going to be hard to do. Maybe you're in middle school, high school, you have 100 students. You're like, I don't even know where I'm going to find 2 minutes. Well, you might try the 1-sentence intervention, and this comes from Love and Logic. And the 1-sentence intervention is where you notice some things about the student, and you just tell them what you notice. And you do this regularly for about 2 weeks. So you would say, oh, George, I really noticed that you love basketball. I noticed that. Or I noticed that you really like to wear red shoes. Or I noticed that whatever it is, just notice something about them, something they like, something that they do, and just tell them, I noticed this. And what you're doing there is you're showing them that you see them as not just a disruptive student or a student who struggles in your class. You see who they are. And so that's just a very simple, easy way to show interest and to build a relationship. A quick word of encouragement here is that sometimes this takes time. So don't be discouraged. You might see a turnaround right away in those 2 weeks, but you might not. And if you don't get discouraged, just keep at it. And I will tell you, I can think of a particular student that I had that I taught for both 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. I taught all the middle school math. So I had her 3 years in a row. And the entire 6th grade year was so rough. And I tried to build the relationship. I honestly did. And it felt like it was going nowhere. It felt like it was getting worse, if anything. 7th grade, I thought day one, it's a fresh start. I went up to her, how was your summer? And she literally just completely ignored me, turned around and ran away. And I thought this is going to be a long year. But I kept at it. I prayed for her. I just continued to try to show interest, try to develop a relationship as I can. Once again, I felt like my efforts were futile, like it wasn't going anywhere. But something happened about midway through that 7th grade year, the second year we were together. Things gradually started to change. I noticed some of the problems that we had been having were happening less often. And pretty soon I realized, man, I haven't had an issue in a long time. And before I knew it, she was actually a joy to have in class. And by the 8th grade year, we had an amazing relationship. She would want to come to my room during her free periods and talk or help out. And I remember one day so clearly, she even kind of looked back at an incident we'd had in 6th grade and said, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe that. How immature was I? And it was just so cool to see how far she had come. But my point in telling you that story is to help you realize how long that story was in the making. The turnaround was not in weeks. It was not even in months. It was in years. If I had only had her as a 6th grader, I wouldn't have even gotten to see the end of it. Another teacher would have gotten to see the turnaround. So don't be discouraged if it feels like nothing's happening. Just keep at it. Sometimes these changes take months or years to develop, but your effort is not in vain. You are making a difference, and it will return. It is going to help them at some point. So keep at it. A final tip in developing these relationships with our students is to seek first to understand, then to be understood. And this also comes from Stephen Covey. So this applies in a variety of areas, but what I want to talk to you about today is when we have to deal with a student, particularly about a discipline issue or something that's not going well. Sometimes we want to launch into lecture mode and just go on and on about what they should have done and what they should have done differently and blah, 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 blah. But when we're giving them that lecture, it may or may not be going anywhere. Chances are it's going in one ear and out the other, or they're remembering it so they can laugh about it with their friends later. Okay, lectures just aren't that effective. What if instead you try to understand what's going on? So for example, let's say that a student was cheating in your class. So rather than just going on a lecture about how horrible cheating is, maybe you really tried to talk a little bit, ask some questions, was patient with it, and maybe you discover that you really try to get at why did you cheat? What was going on here? And you discover, they say, I was really worried about this test. I've been having anxiety about getting into college, and I knew if I failed this test, then I wasn't going to get an A, and they have all this anxiety around this. Well, does that excuse the fact that they cheated? Not one bit. But aren't you going to be able to have a much better, much more effective conversation with them now? Now you can talk about their real issue, which is the anxiety and how to overcome that anxiety, and how when we are having anxiety, it can't make us do wrong things, right? You can deal with what's actually going on in their mind and in their heart versus just throwing things at them, figuratively, just throwing words at them that aren't really connecting because it's not really dealing with what's in their heart and what's in their mind. So try that. Try to seek first to understand and then to be understood. So there we go. Day 1, we developed a plan. Day 2, we execute it. Day 3, we are going to set ourselves up for long-term success. So if you followed us so far, you should be seeing some real improvement. But if you want to experience long-term success, both for yourself and your students, you cannot stop here. We have barely scratched the surface of all the things that I would like to share with you. And here's the thing. Classroom management is really nuanced. You can do a lot of things right, But if you're doing a couple things wrong or missing just one or two pieces of the puzzle, it can really throw a wrench into everything, and it can frustrate even your best efforts. So that's why I've developed Classroom Management 101. It is a complete, organized system, an online course that ensures you don't miss any of the crucial elements that you need to create that conducive learning environment and long-term success for both you and your students. Classroom Management 101 guides you step by step through the process of developing and implementing a strong classroom management plan, so you're not left to simply figure it out on your own. Those of you that are joining us in Classroom Management 101, I want to give you a preview of what you're going to see there. Module 1 is about how to develop the right mindset. I shared a few mindset shifts with you in video 1, but we have so many more in Module 1 of Classroom Management 101 where we talk about these mindset shifts that will make a huge difference in your classroom. Module 2, we talk about how to prepare your plan, and I walk you through step by step. We did that in this mini course, but we only scratched the surface of a few areas. We go into so many more. We talk about how to create a discipline plan, what consequences make sense, how to have rewards, how to put it all together, what you should expect of your students, and so much more. Module 3 is about how to prevent problems from happening in the first place, which we didn't even get to go into here hardly at all. So that's a whole module on that. Module 4, how do you address problems? What do you do when you have a student that's backtalking or complaining or defiant or a class clown? How do you have that conversation? What does that seek first to understand conversation actually look like? We get into all of that in Module 4. Module 5 is about how to inspire your students and motivate them to learn. We can talk about strategies to keep them engaged and focused, which eliminates a lot of problems right there. And then Module 6 is a fun module because we troubleshoot a lot of common challenges, like what do I do with cell phones? What do I do with girl drama? What about student behavior that's happening behind my back? And so many more common challenges. The way the online course works is it's very much similar to this. There's video lessons that guide you through each aspect. They're a little shorter than these. They're only about 5 to 10 minutes each, and you can watch at your own pace. So membership does not expire. You can do it as quickly as you want or spread it out for as long as you want. It also comes with a printable manual with notes already taken for you, and we're currently working on creating audio versions of the lessons, so that you can listen on the go while driving or walking or cooking or cleaning, and the notes are already taken for you. We want to make it as easy as possible for you to get this information and put it into practice in your classroom. If you haven't joined us yet, but you're wondering about joining with us, you might be wondering, well, who is this for? Well, it's designed for K through 12 teachers, and it's perfect for you if you are one of these three. If you're either a new teacher in your first few years, if you're struggling to control your class, no matter how long you've been teaching, if you're kind of struggling with it, or if you say, I'm doing okay, but I feel like I might be missing something, then this course will help you figure out what you might be missing. Real quickly, there's 3 bonuses that go along with it. First is a self-evaluation activity that will help you identify where am I going wrong and what do I want to fix. Number 2, an easy reminder system, which will help you actually remember and implement all the things that you'll be learning. And number 3, my favorite, the back to school bonus module, which is the back to school time is the most important time of the year. It is the time when you can take your classroom and reimagine your entire classroom. So we have a whole module dedicated to that you can watch in August to prepare for back to school. Now, I hope that you can join us, and I know you're probably thinking, well, how much does it cost? We really do not want cost to be a reason that you can't join us. So we have taken the normal price and drastically reduced it. And this is available to you as a mini course student only for a few more days. So make sure that you check it out and join us just as soon as you can. Classroom Management 101 has helped over 5,000 teachers end the frustration and create that conducive learning environment, a place where they can teach and students can learn. We so much want to see that same success for you and your students. And so I hope that I'll see you as well in Classroom Management 101. As we finish up this lesson, I want to ask you, what is standing in the way of your success? Think about that and share it in the comments below. And then click the link underneath this video to find out more and join us in Classroom Management 101. I look forward to seeing you there.